30 seconds. You can start.
Good afternoon. Welcome to the Durham Planning Commission. The members of the Durham Planning Commission have been appointed by the City Council and the County Board of Commissioners as an advisory board to the elected officials. You should know that the elected officials have the final vote on any issue before us tonight. Tonight's meeting is being held virtually using the Zoom virtual meeting platform. In this virtual meeting platform, public participants do not have any ability to talk or be seen on video by default. To maintain meeting decorum and a discernible record of the meeting, the chat function has been disabled. Speakers will be given the ability to speak at the appropriate time in the meeting. If you have pre-registered, your name will be called for you to make your comments, just like in an in-person public hearing. If you called in before the meeting started and staff was able to get your information, your name will also be called to speak at the appropriate time as normal. You may also call in during the meeting tonight by dialing 1-301-715-8592. If you call in during the meeting, you will need to wait until the particular public hearing you are interested in starts. After all of the pre-registered speakers have shared their comments, I will ask if there is anyone else wishing to speak. At that point, you will need to digitally raise your hand by pressing *9 on your phone. And when recognized, state your name and address and make your public comments. Finally, all motions are stated in the affirmative, so if a motion fails or ties, the recommendation is not favorable. Thank you, and may we have roll call.
Okay, thank you. Chair Amendolia.
Here.
Baker.
Here.
Batista.
Here.
Busby.
Here.
Vice Chair Cameron.
Here.
Cutright. Take that as a no. Durkin.
Here.
Harrod. No. Lowe. Nope. McIver.
Here.
Morgan.
Good evening, I'm here.
Cease. Nope. Carmen Williams.
Here.
And Zuri Williams.
Here.
Thank you very much. And we do have quorum.
Thank you. Michael, are we aware of any excused absences at this time, or should we wait until later in case other commissioners who aren't here show up late?
I'm not aware of any other notifications beyond when we sent out the doodle poll for the special meeting that they just weren't able to make that specific date. So if that warrants as an excused absence, you could always vote to excuse those 4 members.
Okay. I do not have the results of that poll on hand.
It was yeah, I believe that all 4 of them, from what I recall, said that they could not make this meeting.
Okay.
Or you can wait until the end, whatever works for you. It doesn't matter.
If we excuse someone and they show up, is that okay?
You may want to wait till the end.
Okay, let's wait till the end.
If you're worried about that. Yeah.
Okay. So we're going to move next to approval of the minutes and consistency statements from the December 14th, 2021 meeting. Does anyone have any edits or comments on the December meeting minutes? Seeing none, I would accept a motion to approve the minutes.
Mr. Chair, I move that we accept the minutes from the December 14th meeting and the consistency statement.
A second.
Moved by Commissioner Morgan, seconded by Vice Chair Cameron. Any further commentary? Seeing none, may we have the roll call vote?
Amendolia,
Yes.
Baker,
Yes.
Batista,
Yes.
Busby,
Yes.
Cameron,
Yes.
Durkin,
Yes.
MacIver,
Yes.
Morgan,
Yes.
Carmen Williams.
Uh-oh, I wasn't off mute. Yes.
Very good, thank you. And Zuri Williams.
Yes.
And Michael, I saw Bruce Harold on the, just came online.
Yep. Commissioner Harrod, excellent.
And Commissioner Cutright.
Oh, excellent. Commissioner Harrod, do you have a vote for yes?
I do, yes,
And-
thank you.
Excellent. And Cutright for the minutes.
I see a phone number in the attendees ending in 2000 with their hand raised. Can we see if that is one of our commissioners? And I don't know if they've been requested to unmute, but they needed a dial *6 to unmute.
I do not see a hand raised for that person now.
Okay.
Commissioner Cutright would like to vote on the minutes for approval.
Yes.
Thank you. All right, passes unanimously.
Thank you. We
Yep.
have one item. Oh, wait, Michael, do you need to make the consistency statement before we move to our first item?
I'm sorry. Do you
Do you need to make the statement before we move to our first item? Oh, I'm sorry. No, let's do adjustments to the agenda. And then go from there. Any adjustments to tonight's agenda from staff? Okay. Seeing no adjustments to the agenda, we can move into our first public hearing of the night. The first case we have before us is case Z1900009 Carver Street Assemblage. We will begin with the staff report. And Michael, I see you have your hand raised.
Yes, thank you. I was pleasantly reminded that staff would like to note that all required notifications for this case have taken place and they are on file for review. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening, all. Alexander Cahill here with the City County Planning Department. Thank you for spending some time with us tonight. We'll be presenting on case Z1900009 Carver Street Assemblage. Staff did receive an application to propose a rezoning, zoning map change, future land use map change, and an associated annexation petition for the location of 134 acres at or around 3819 Cub Creek Road. And this is located within the Bragtown community. The current zoning is residential suburban 20 and residential urban 5. And the applicant is proposing a designation and zoning map change to a planned development residential of 7.000 or 7 dwelling units an acre. The properties are presently designated industrial, low medium density residential, and recreation and open space on the future land use map. And this proposal is to rezone to allow for up to 90 single family lots and 731 multifamily units. Of those units, at least 198 of them will be income restricted dwelling units, also known as affordable housing. So the existing zoning is residential suburban 20 with a small portion of the project being zoned residential urban 5. The site is surrounded by planned development residential 4.3, residential urban 5, the urban tier, community commercial, industrial light, and office and institutional. This 134-acre site is bisected by East Carver Street. As you can see, there's a lot of various zoning designations within this site or surrounding this site. You can also see in the aerial map that this location is in an area where it's been developed to the west, north, and south with recreation and open space with the Hebron Nature Preserve area to the north and a little bit of undeveloped land to the south, or to the east, excuse me. So a little bit of history on this project because a lot of you were not on the Planning Commission when this first came to the Planning Commission. It did come on August 11th of 2020. And at the time of that public hearing, the Bragtown Community Association, as well as Bragtown community members, gave a presentation about the potential harms that this proposal could have at the time. The community members identified a lack of affordable housing, a lack of environmental protections, a lack of engagement, a lack of investment in this historically marginalized and traditionally underserved neighborhood. Since that public hearing on August 11th of 2020, a new developer has come on board that has a focus and history of affordable housing development. And this applicant and developer have worked to address these concerns from that Planning Commission hearing by adding a minimum of 198 income restricted units, increasing environmental protections, and engaging in a community engagement effort with the Bragtown community that has led to substantive changes from the proposal that you may or may not remember on August 11th of 2020. So there are a lot of commitments on this development plan if you had time to look at it ahead of time. There's a commitment to affordable housing with 198 units being affordable. 5% of which of those would be at the 40% AMI level is a commitment from the applicant. There will be at least 3 amenity structures. There's additional open space and tree coverage commitments that exceed the ordinance requirements. There's a 100-year stormwater event control commitment that exceeds the 10-year UDO requirement. There's a commitment to a one-site plan with all the phases of the project being built on it. There's an increase in the buffer on the north side of the assemblage. You can see on the development plan, and I'll show you on the proposed conditions, that is in excess of the UDO requirement. And that's because it's adjacent to the Hebron preserved area. There'll be a construction of a sidewalk along Old Oxford Road or a payment in lieu at the time, a site plan. There's construction of a concrete pad or bus shelter, construction of exclusive northbound and southbound right turn lanes, numerous site access. There's potential signalization of several intersections. There's also a 100-foot wide greenway trail easement, 700-foot block lengths. And then there's a rocky outcrop in the middle of the development plan that I will show you that the applicant is preserving at the request of some environmental groups and the community feedback. In addition, there's design commitments, including a variation in color facades for the townhouses and single family units. 30% or more of the townhouses will have a single car bay or less. There's a dog park, and then there's height restrictions on each of the product types. So if you can see in the existing conditions of the development plan, this site does have numerous stream features running through it. It is heavily treed with a pine and hardwood mix. You can see on both pages of the existing conditions that those environmental features are shown throughout the site. The applicant has proposed a building and parking development envelope that pulls away from these streams. You can see the rocky outcropping that's being preserved in the middle of the proposed conditions here. You can see a development envelope that's being pulled back from the streams here. Same thing on the second page of the proposed conditions as well. Same thing with the building and parking envelope is being pulled away, and there is a preservation of tree coverage through replacement and coverage as well. There's The applicant has hosted numerous neighborhood meetings on this project in addition to the most recent UDO required neighborhood meeting, which was on June 15th of 2021. We've received a lot of community feedback through the land use engagement site on Social Pinpoint. Planning commissioners and staff have received numerous emails over the past week and a half since the item was noticed for public hearing. And we will let the applicant speak more on their engagement efforts. And except for the land use map, the staff does determine this request is consistent with the community goals and objectives of the comprehensive plan, 3 of the 3 retained policies from the 2005 comprehensive plan, and other adopted ordinances and policies. And then lastly, staff just wants to say quickly, thank you to the Bragtown community leadership, who has been an integral part in being involved in this proposal and shaping it, along with very active community members and community engagement that have really made their voice heard and taken an active role in development in their community. And we want to take the time to say thank you to them. With that, the staff is available to answer questions, and the applicant is here tonight as well.
Thank you, Alexander. With that, we will open the public hearing. And we have several individuals signed up to speak tonight. And so because of that, I'm going to suggest that we first do the applicant presentation, give them 10 minutes, and then give everybody 2 minutes to speak and say their comments. If anyone is opposed to that or wants to suggest something different, please do so now.
Yeah, can you raise the hand?
Okay. Seeing no objections, I will begin with the applicant presentation. You have 10 minutes. And I know the applicant team is Patrick Biker, I believe Tim Sivers is here, and Ted, I can't remember your last name, but I assume Ted is here as well. But Patrick, when you begin, will you please state your applicant team so I can keep track of who needs to speak and who doesn't?
Sure, can you hear us all right?
Yes.
Wonderful, wonderful. Would like to take a slightly different tack, Chairman Amendolia, if that's all right with you and the commission. Let me, however, take care of introducing our team. Chairman Amendolia, Vice Chair Cameron, members of the Planning Commission. Again, I'm Patrick Biker with Morningstar Law Group, and I live at 2614 Stewart Drive. I'm here tonight representing Kelly Development Company for this agenda item. And along with me tonight are Tim Siders of Horvath and Associates, our site design and engineering firm, as well as Ted Heilbrunn, who is the principal for Kelly Development, one of the leading affordable housing developers in North and South Carolina. This agenda item that's before you tonight represents what we believe is the largest privately funded mixed income housing development in the history of Durham, with 198 income restricted multifamily dwellings. While we are pleased with how this 135-acre site has evolved from the last time the Planning Commission considered this site back in August of 2020, we are even more pleased that our development team has established an open, respectful, and I would say very caring relationship with the Bragtown Community Association. Accordingly, Mr. Chairman, members of the Commission, before I give a high-level overview of our development plan, I wish to turn it over to Chairwoman Vanessa Mason Evans and other members of the Bragtown Community Association and other Bragtown residents for their comments in support of this project before we go through a brief PowerPoint. I really think it's more important for the commission to hear from those folks than us, and then we'll be happy to walk through a PowerPoint and open it up for questions.
Okay. Patrick, to be clear, are you intending this as part of your applicant presentation?
It would be, if we could reserve the 10 minutes for the end after Chairwoman Mason Evans and her team speaks on the other residents, we'd appreciate that. I think our presentation will take way less than 10 minutes, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, thank you. Vanessa Evans.
Yes.
Are you?
Good evening.
Good evening. How are you doing?
I'm good. How y'all doing?
Good. Glad you're here. How would you like to run this presentation with your group? Do you want a set amount of time? Do you want to do 2 minutes apiece? I could offer the Bragtown Community Association 10 minutes for the coordinated presentation that y'all described.
I'm not sure how many people are speaking, so I guess if each person can get 2 minutes, that would be fine.
Okay. Sounds great. So
mine is short and brief. Good evening, commissioners. On the behalf of the Bradtown Community Association, we would like to say that the community, along with developers, have been in engagement for over a year, trying to pull this together. And from the first development to this one, we are pleased to say that we are 100% in agreement with what this development is willing to put out for us. We know that we can't get the bells and whistles. We would like to have 100% of affordable housing, but that wouldn't reach reality. But what they have given us as an offer is 66 units for seniors and 132 units for family units. So we feel this is sufficient. And along with that, our community is also asking that we be supported in gap funding. I would like to say that with these developers, they have not swayed us or persuaded us. We've thought about this and we've worked hard together as a team to come up with trying to make sure we can get affordable housing in Bradtown for families as well as for seniors. And we think this will be a great match for us, but not just for us. We think that it will be great for a blueprint of Durham to see where we might can be able to put affordable housing in other areas of Durham. Thank you for your time.
thank you, Ms. Evans. Okay, I am going to go through the list that I have here, folks that signed up. I believe, if I understand correctly, Constance Wright is available as well.
Yes. Good evening, everybody. Yeah, I'm Constance Wright, and I just want to speak on the Carver Street Assemblage and the housing, affordable housing. And I guess my disappointment is that we didn't get 30% AMI of any of the units, which the residents of Bradtown, over 80% of them, their income is $32,373 or less. So that would be 30% AMI for them to afford to live in the new development. So that's just my disappointment in that. I just also want to stress about the environmental protection piece of it with the buffers. I would like to see, or we would like to see 150 feet of buffers, because, you know, as you know, there's a lot of problems as far as animals and insects and the plants being destroyed in these communities because there's so much development out here. All the trees are being cut down and everything. And I think 150 feet of the environmental buffers will help as far as preserving the native plants, as far as providing protection for the streams and the, you know, the creeks that are around. More trees will also help to filter the pollution that will be runoff, you know, with the stormwater and everything. So that is my, that's my concern. I do wish we could get the 30% AMI. That would be great too. But the 150 feet buffer would be wonderful as far as preserving the environment. Thank you.
Thank you, Constance. Our next registered speakers are Donna Frederick, Larissa Seibel, Benita Green, and Kia Harrell. We're going to go through them in that order. Donna Frederick, you have 2 minutes.
Good evening. I'm Donna Frederick, and I'm Bragtown resident and also outreach for the neighborhood as Bragtown Association. I'm in support of this project. It is much needed, as the area and Durham at least needs so much more housing than we have available right now. The project looks great. It is not a slapped together type of environment. It is well put together as any other complex that we have other apartments. The senior portion of it was really needed, as most seniors are living paycheck to paycheck with little availability in Durham right now. So this would be an excellent way to get Durham on board to supporting our seniors, and long-term residents have lived here on a fixed income as well. So I'm in support of this project. We've been clear, we've had meetings, the perspective looks great, and we just need to get, you know, if possible, this gap funding would be excellent to complete the project. But we do have had many conversations and it looks great. So I'm in support of it. Thank you.
Thank you. Larissa Seibel.
Hello, my name is Larissa Seibel, and I support this affordable housing mixed income development. And I'm impressed that the developers are making houses affordable at 40% of area median income. That's an income around $20,000 for one person, and a little more for each additional people. 30% AMI they are aiming towards if they can get some gap funding from the City of Durham affordable housing funds. And then for the rest of the homes, they would be affordable to people at about $36,000, close to the median income in the Bragtown community, for families who would be earning around $36,000. So this is so much more affordable than the market housing, as you know. These levels of affordability are so needed in Bragtown and in communities across Durham. And I hope this sets an example for other developers to do the same. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Benita Green.
Good evening, commissioners. Thank you for allowing me this time. I'm Benita Green, and I am at 831 Center Street in Durham in the Merritt Moore community. And I am here to support Bragtown and this development. As you know, the BCA has been working very, very hard to bring affordable housing to their community. And I think what this developer has shown is a proper way to do community engagement with a community. This developer has really listened and tried to meet the needs of the Bragtown Community Association to provide this much needed affordable housing within their community. As well, these units will have green spaces on them. These units will have a dog park within it, and these units will have recreation areas within it. So there are, you know, plenty of opportunities for people who are in that low income bracket to live in a place that has green spaces, which is one thing that we've been talking about for a long time, for more than a year, probably a year and a half. So all that said, you know, I am here to support the Bragtown Community Association and hope that you do as well. Thank you.
Thank you, Bonita. Kia Harrell, you have 2 minutes.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you for allowing me to speak, commissioners. I'm being here serves like 3 purposes, I would say, and I'll talk about each of them briefly. First and foremost, I'm an implant to the city of Durham. I moved here 5 years ago with a dream of pursuing a real estate business in what would become a very, very booming market. Some of the challenges that I face in this market is that, first and foremost, if people wanted to purchase a home, they're looking at so much growth as far as pricing where we sit today. If they want to be able to make a purchase, they cannot make a purchase in the area where they live and work every day. They would have to travel outside of the city in order to maintain a level of housing that they can afford. And I think this project will combat that in some way by making units available to them. The second part of that is for those that are not looking to buy, that are looking to rent, when you're dealing with market rent, that's another hurdle that people will have to encounter. When you're talking about homeowners and property managements that are looking for 650 credit scores in order for them to be able to get an apartment. If I had a 650 credit score, then I would be trying to get a house, not an apartment. So I think that will definitely address some of those issues there. I think the total sum of that part would be that the community of people that live here and work here currently just want to be able to grow with the city. We're not saying that we don't want to see these new developments go up where we have $1 million penthouses downtown and things like that. But what they're saying is they would like the opportunity to see these things happen and be a part of those changes within the city and still be able to live here as well. The second part of what I would like to say is that this project is an opportunity for people to sell those particular homes when it comes time. So if I get in now and I get in at a certain rate and I move on up in the world, I get a better job and all of those different things align my way, this is an opportunity for me to get a better job, get a better life, and move my family into another area. So this offers the opportunity to see a dream probably in steps, but it's available to them. It gives them the ability to dream and to think that they can do anything else other than what they're doing now. I think
if you could finish your thought, you've hit your 2 minutes.
Okay. Without this project, you're going to have increased homelessness, vagrancy, and continued safety issues. So we need to address it as quickly as possible. Thank you.
Thank you. Would any other proponents like to speak? If you would, you may virtually raise your hand. If you're on your phone, you do that by pressing *9.
Should you raise a hand?
I see Anna Marie Arias Salazar has raised their hand. You have 2 minutes.
A request to unmute has been sent.
Okay. Anna Marie, if you're still there, we'll come back to you later. Maybe you're having some technical difficulties. At this time, we're going to go ahead and finish the applicant team presentation, and then we will hear all comments from the opponents.
Okay. That'd be great. Alexander, would it be possible to pull up the PowerPoint we sent? Thank you, sir. Thank you. Again, thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the commission. Again, we're here to discuss the Carver Street Assemblage and want to briefly give an overview of a development plan that's before the commission tonight. So next slide, please. Again, this is a very large project looking at 800 to 820 units of mixed income housing. Again, our PDR is 7 units per acre, and we strongly believe that it's the correct density for this location, given the investment that our city made with the Carver Street extension over the last few years. The key point, of course, is that there will be 198 affordable apartments, or income restricted, might be the correct term. And what we're looking at is 1 bedrooms, 2 bedrooms, and 3 bedrooms, income averaging to 60% AMI, but with 40% AMI being averaged out with 70% units. As some of our speakers have referred to tonight, and I would perhaps ask the commissioners who were on the Planning Commission when the Farrington Road development agreement was considered. Gap funding is very important. 30% AMI units are not attainable without gap funding. And just to provide a little detail on that, recalling the Farrington Road project, there were 82 units there. And the reason that 18 of them could be 30% AMI was because the city provided $3.2 million worth of gap funding. That's enough for the history lesson. The rest of the project, of course, consists of 325 to 350 workforce apartments, 180 townhomes, and then only 90 single-family homes. Next slide, please. Want to quickly go over where this project exceeds the UDO code requirements. And again, that was an excellent job by Alexander highlighting these, and we very much appreciate it. But again, just so the Planning Commission focuses on these details, the tree safe area is up to 22%, above 20%. The open space is up to 25% when the code only requires 17. Again, as was referenced in the staff report, we did move forward and proactively design this site for the 100-year storm event. The North Carolina Heritage Buffer only is required to be 20 feet in the UDO, and our team has committed to 100. And lastly, what I think is very important is that floodplain improvements are widely implemented throughout Durham. Think of many soccer fields, play fields, they're commonly in the floodplain across Durham. But this project has committed to no tree removal in the floodplain. And so those are very important environmental commitments. I would like to amplify the comments about community engagement. Our team had several meetings with concerned Bragtown residents that dealt specifically with these environmental issues. Next slide, please. And again, this is a blow up of the floodplain stream buffer and that rock outcropping. Again, those were very cordial meetings, had several of them over the course of last year. They were all virtual, I believe, regrettably because of conditions we couldn't meet in person. But in response to those meetings, the rock outcropping that you see on the right side of this slide was suggested by those concerned citizens, and we thought that was a great idea. We looked at it, and so you see that reflected on the development plan that's before you tonight. Perhaps more importantly, though, you see that the development area of this for this development is 340 feet away from the stream at the northern side. And then if you go down towards to the south, you see the development area is still 220 feet away from the stream. So we believe this project strikes the correct balance between environmental stewardship and providing mixed income housing. Next slide, please. Lastly, and this is our concluding slide, members of the commission. Because of its size, this project had to turn in a traffic impact analysis along with the annexation and rezoning application. As a result of that TIA, this project has to commit to approximately $2 million worth of public infrastructure. And we want to highlight these. There is no mechanism in Durham for projects that include affordable housing to have any discount in their obligations to provide offsite traffic improvements, nor is there really any funding mechanism from the city to help defray those costs. So all of this $1.75 to $2 million is being provided by Kelly Development. And I want to briefly highlight these in concluding our presentation. At Old Oxford and Dearborn, and I hope members of the commission had a chance to drive through this area. There'll be a road widening, turn lane, sidewalk, crosswalk, and stormwater improvements at that intersection, which has been, again, all these intersections have been neglected for decades. At Old Oxford and Danube, again, a road widening, turn lane, sidewalk, crosswalk, and stormwater improvements. And these are crucial intersections within the Bragtown neighborhood. At Old Oxford Road, there'll be a road widening with turn lane, bike lane, and sidewalks. And we're working diligently to make sure that we fill in as many gaps as possible. And then lastly, I think it's important to highlight the Greenway Trail extension through the project. That's an important amenity that we see in other neighborhoods in Durham, for example, Woodcroft, Hope Valley Farms. It's great to see that type of greenway being built in Bragtown. I'd like to ask Tim and Ted if they have anything to add, but otherwise we'd like to have our last proponent, Anna Maria and Yvonne, speak in favor of this, and then we'll be happy to answer any questions.
Thank you. Anna Maria, we'll turn to you. You have 2 minutes.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Anna Arias. I have been a resident of the neighborhood for 16 years. I am the owner of the commercial building. Like many of my friends who are also small merchants, we are encouraged to be able to participate in that our voice is heard in this project, which brings great hopes for the prosperity of our business. which are the source of livelihood for all families. Since the closing of Walmart and other important stores or business have been significantly affected, while in other areas of Durham, they are brought down, have not had the same level of investment and growth. This project brings great hopes for Hispanic business. We now firsthand that this project will provide affordable housing. I deeply appreciate the opportunity for the Hispanic community to participate in the process of Durham. We need new projects in Down. Thank you.
Thank you. Our next registered speakers are Lalit Yadav, Billy D, and Ivone Orozco. Lalit, you have 2 minutes to speak.
Hi, I just joined right now, so was a little bit late to the meeting. So my biggest concern here is, that Cub Creek Road, would that be developed as part of this particular effort, right? And today Cub Creek on one side is closed, right, from Carver Street extension, and it was deemed not DOT compliant, correct? So would that be taken care of, right, with this development? That is my biggest concern.
Thank you. Next is Billy D. You have 2 minutes, and please, just a reminder to state your name and address before you begin.
Hi, this is Billy D. I'm having an issue with my computer. May I be called in a couple of minutes? I'm having some problems with my audio. I'm sorry.
Yep, sure. We'll skip and come back to you.
Thank you.
So next is Ivone. 2 minutes.
Yes. Good night, everyone. My name is Ivone Orozco. I am the owner of my owner business located at 2525 North Roxbury Street. I support the Carver Street Assemblage, myself and other small business owner in Brighttown. Depend on the growth, because the Brighttown depend on the growth of a neighborhood to subsidy to the Carver Street Assemblage. Will bring more neighborhoods into the community and more customers to support our stores. And also, I support the 198 units of affordable house, including in this project. I believe everyone should have access to affordable housing. And finally, I know many neighborhoods and friends who also support this project, but aren't comfortable to speak in Spanish in the public hearing. But thank you so much for listening to us, and thank you for your time, and please vote and support the Carver Assemblage. Thank you.
Thank you, Ivone. Let's see. I believe that concludes everyone who signed up to speak. Oh, I see. Here we go. Next registered speakers. So next we have Celeste Ritchie, Helena Craig, and Brad Queener. Celeste, you're up next, and you have 2 minutes.
Celeste Ritchie is not available at this moment, I don't see.
Okay. And we'll move to Helena Craig. Helena, are you able to unmute yourself?
Unmute requests have been sent to Helena and to Brad.
Okay. We will move to Brad Queener.
Apologies, I didn't mean to check the box to speak. I was just listening in. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Okay, while folks are figuring out their technical issues, we'll return to Billy D. Billy D, is now a good time for you?
Yep. Yeah. Hi, can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Great. Yeah, I just want to say I'm just so inspired to see that there has been major change to this plan. I was in the past involved with Bragtown Community Association, so in the first hearing involved in that case at that point, if for those of you who are on that call. And I think that I'm coming tonight just speaking for myself as a resident of Bragtown. And I just want to share, like, I am so excited to see that there's affordable housing in this development. I'm excited to see that there has been meaningful engagement. But I also just am sort of sitting with some concern just in terms of thinking about this development. So much, like thousands of hours of community work went into making this development so much better. And I guess what I'm sitting with tonight is that I hope that this could be considered a baseline for what Durham does moving forward. And I feel like I would love to be able to feel confidence that there would be housing at that 30% AMI level, but I know that's dependent on gap funding. And I feel very inspired that there's push toward really offering some of that affordable housing. But given that we're seeing some 100% affordable housing development proposals in the area, I do feel like a development like this, where a significant portion, although mixed income, are being sold at the market rate, I do feel that from deeply researching this issue, increased environmental protections for this specific site, although the improvements are dramatic, and I want to give credit where that's due. I feel like from researching and understanding a little bit about this land, I would concur that at least 150-foot buffers would be ideal. I understand there's been great improvements, but we know there are controlled burns in the nature preserves nearby, and there's a huge amount of wildlife. This is a floodplain. I think everyone's aware of the issues at hand. Basically, I'm just here to say I'm really impressed at the changes, and I want more. And I wish that I could believe that this kind of development could be a model going forward. And I guess what I'm feeling is like the frustration of this is how much work it took this one development to get this good, and what it would take to make future developments this good.
Could you finish your thought and wrap up?
Yep. That's about it. Thank you so much. I just want more of everything that's good about this development, and I want affordable housing and environmental protection at the same time. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Our next registered speakers are Andromeda Connor, Rebecca Olson, and Kat Goyenechi. Andromeda, you have 2 minutes.
Hi, my name is Andromeda Connor, and I live in the Villages of Independence Park, and I'm opposed to this idea, partly because of the wildlife and stuff that's in the area. And also, I feel like there's already enough affordable housing in our area. There's affordable housing at the top of, Hebron, which is, Briar Green or Briar Glen or something like that, in Magnolia Point. And I've noticed, like, during the summers and stuff, there's not enough kids to do around here. There's nothing here, no recreation facilities or anything like that. I just feel like if we're going to put more affordable housing and you're going to expect children to have a place to grow and play or whatever, we need to have something else in place for them. Recreation facilities and stuff. I don't know if you guys, if you subscribe to Nextdoor, most of the complaints over the summer are kids throwing rocks at cars as they're driving by. I understand that there's a great need for affordable housing, but I feel like this area is very concentrated enough with affordable housing. And I feel like that it could be spread around a little bit evenly throughout Durham, the Durham County area. But again, one of the things is I have a really big issue with the fact that there isn't enough things for children to do in this area. That's my biggest complaint. Thank you.
Thank you, Andromeda. Rebecca Olson, you have 2 minutes.
Hi there. I also live in the Villages of Independence Park, and like Andromeda said, I have a lot of the same concerns. That there's not a lot for kids to do. I'm worried about crime and more kids with nothing to do getting into trouble here. Like, I have a house. I feel like I'm really invested in this area, and so I'm anxious about that. I would also like to see the trail again that you guys had up, if that could possibly be pulled up again. I joined the meeting a little late today. But yeah, if we can consider more recreation for the area, I think that that would be really important.
Thank you, Rebecca.
Thank you.
Kat Goyenechi, you have 2 minutes. And I do not see Kat in the attendees list. So we're going to circle back around to some folks we had called on earlier, but weren't able to unmute. First, Helena Craig, are you able to unmute? Chris, has the request been sent out?
A request has been sent, no response.
Okay. So at this time, if there are other folks who did not register to speak in advance who would like to, please virtually raise your hand. Again, if you're on the phone, you can do so by pressing *9. And while folks get their hands queued up, I do want to acknowledge Vanessa Evans. I see your hand is raised. Since you have already had a chance to speak, we don't typically give folks multiple opportunities during the public hearing, but when it comes time and we're having commissioner discussion, I will come back to you and give you a chance to speak then. But if others would like to speak now, please raise your hand at this time. Okay, seeing none, I'm going to close the public hearing and turn it over to commissioner comment. Commissioner Carmen Williams, you are recognized. And
wait, now I'm off mute. Thank you very much, Chair Amendolia, for recognizing me. I think everybody that has been on the Planning Commission knows that typically when I speak, first thing I want to talk about is traffic impact. I am highly impressed with the traffic study that was done. My second thing is always the environment. And though I do believe that 150 feet would be acceptable, I am actually impressed with the way that this reads in terms of the tree preservation and the lack of tree cutting, because they have the option to do that. So some consideration was done with that. And yes, everything can improve. And typically I'm not a something is better than nothing type person, but given the location of this and where this is actually being planned, I actually like this development. I like the way that it's presented. I like that there's effort put behind it, considering where it actually began. I would definitely like to discuss some of the things that have been said as far as, kids not having a lot of things to do and, what crime, I guess, would go up. Being a lifer in Durham myself, this area is not any stranger to crime at all. And I think that by increasing mixed income into this area will introduce persons who may not already live in this area to create opportunities for kids to grow outside of themselves and to actually interact with other people. And this is not just about addressing affordable housing in Durham in a particular area. It's about increasing accessibility to affordable housing beyond the housing that is already provided in this area, which is low to moderate income. And I think by providing a mixed income environment in this particular neighborhood, you increase the probability for individuals to thrive. So I think that going beyond looking at just the affordable housing aspect will allow many people in this area to actually consider what it means to grow and to thrive and what opportunities are available. And with that being said, I fully intend to support this project in its entirety as presented. I think that the goals that they have created are extremely ambitious. And along with that, I encourage the city of Durham to get behind its affordable housing efforts that they've been stating with density by accompanying whatever is required to meet the need and let this be the standard in terms of what needs to happen. Mixed income is essentially important because you introduce people who probably wouldn't normally live together into the same area. And I think that that's crucial for education purposes, for culture. And I definitely want to applaud the Hispanic neighbors that chose to speak today, because we typically don't hear from this community and they're underrepresented. And I think that it's essential, and it says a lot that they were able to speak today and they gave their community a voice, which is greatly needed so that we can make informed decisions. So again, I will be fully supporting this. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Carmen Williams. Before we go to other commissioner question and comments, I did want to recognize Danny Coltra with the Planning Department.
Thank you, Chair Alandolia. One thing, when Mr. Biker was making his presentation, he mentioned a few commitments to this development plan that staff raised some concerns with, and just wanted to mention those so that the commission had a chance to maybe question and have Mr. Biker respond to make sure that whether those are going to be committed to or whether he could clarify those. He did mention something about workforce housing being committed to, and that is not a commitment. The only commitments we noticed on the development plan are to the actual affordable housing proffers in the on the development plan. So you may want to have him respond to that. The other thing was he mentioned the fact that the 100-year floodplain was not going to have any disturbance in that. But actually, the development plan does list that in commitment. Let me pull that up. Excuse me, mine's moving a little slow right now, but in commitment number 20, it does say the only following recreational features may be located within 100-year flood hazard area limits as permitted by the city, state, and federal regulations, are trails, greenways, and our dog parks. So the 100-year, the actual greenway actually moves through the 100-year floodplain, and they are also committing to allow a dog park within the 100-year floodplain. So if he was stating that no trees are going to be disturbed in the 100-year floodplain, that would not allow for any of those features to be allowed to be located within the 100-year floodplain. In fact, that would probably need to be committed to have no limits of disturbance put into the 100-year floodplain.
Thank you, Danny.
Can you hear us, Mr.
Patrick?
Chairman?
Yes, I'll give you a chance to respond. Let's work backwards and start with the last bit about the 100-year floodplain.
Okay, Tim, do you want to take that?
Yeah, this is Tim Simers with Horvath Associates. So thank you, Danny, for bringing those clarity items up. So yeah, the dog park, if located in the 100-year floodplain, we are planning to make that an area that'll still be natural. So the existing trees, there's no reason to cut trees down for a dog park. So we'll be able to have a dog park within the existing trees that's in the floodplain. That's the intent there. As for the trail, there's an existing sewer easement as well as an existing and proposed greenway easement So that trail that we're proposing to build will follow that existing greenway. I'm sorry, the existing sanitary sewer easement. So there's an already cleared 30-foot, I believe it's 30 to 40 foot wide easement. That's where that trail will be constructed. That is the reference to no trees cutting.
So, but there is a 100-foot wide greenway easement, correct? Is your intent that you will actually construct that greenway trail?
Yes, we have a text commitment that states, well, there's a certain linear foot length of the greenway trail that will be constructed.
Okay, so it's not an either or. You're not going to either dedicate the easement or construct it. You're going to do both.
That is correct.
Okay.
In the sewer easement, so it's already been cleared. What I'm talking about is we're not cutting down any trees that are there today.
Okay.
The areas that are already cleared are already cleared.
The goal was to cut down less trees than more. If we put the greenway trail somewhere else, we'd be cutting down trees. If we overlap it with the sewer easement, we can remove the possibility of having to cut down more trees.
That's fine. I just wanted to clarify that, because sometimes, if the greenway is just dedicated, then of course, Park and Rec could have the ability to actually, construct that anywhere within that 100-foot easement, and that would be adverse to the commitment to not clear any trees in the floodplain. So just wanted to clarify that. Okay.
I believe we're all on the same page.
No problem.
Very good, sir. And then Ted, you might have some thoughts on
Yeah, absolutely. As it relates to the market rate apartments that are part of the project, just for a little bit of context, our primary focus within this project was affordable housing, defined by rents available to folks who make 60% AMI or lower. And in this case, we're using some income averaging, which is why they're going to average to 60. But a 135-acre parcel of real estate a few minutes away from north of downtown that's got a lot of infrastructure requirements and an expensive purchase price, a project couldn't work that's 100% affordable, unfortunately, because that's our priority. That's what we build. But within the rest of the market rate portion of the project, we wanted to push forward product that was at the most affordable end of the market rate range of prices. And so when I use the term workforce, there are no specific AMI or rent commitments being made, but the group that we're talking to right now about building those apartments is targeting a product that will produce rents that are in an 80% AMI range. So when I say workforce, I mean, we're specifically not talking about class AAA luxury $2,500 single, one bedroom rents that you might see in some of the newer projects coming into the market. These are market rate apartments, but they're targeting a population that that we believe will be provide for an inclusive community in Bragtown.
Thank you. And to clarify, though, those units being at 80% AMI, that is your plan based off on the project. It is not a text commitment in the application for tonight.
That is correct. That's correct. We're working as hard as we can to make the project as affordable to the largest amount of people, but it is not a binding text commitment that will be accompanied by a deed restriction.
Okay. Danny, does that address staff's questions?
It does. We wanted to make sure that the applicant was clarifying that and on what was actually being committed. And I think we still may need some clarity as far as if they are committing to not clearing any trees, then that will need to be added into the commitment as well.
Danny, we're happy to do that. So we apologize if that wasn't made clear over the last 6 months of communication with staff, but we certainly, our goal is to make sure that the Greenway Trail doesn't lead to the clearing of further trees.
And that is your prerogative to whether you actually make that commitment, but we just want to know if you're making that commitment, it just needs to be clarified on the development plan.
We'll work with Tim to make sure that there are edits that are made as necessary.
Not a problem. Thank you.
Thank you, Danny, and thanks to the applicant team for helping clear that up. Are there other commissioners who would like to ask questions or speak at this time? Commissioner Baker, you're recognized.
Thank you, Chair. Yeah, so I am curious about the a legal instrument that makes it possible to keep the apartments affordable, either to staff or to the applicant team, whoever feels most comfortable answering that question.
We're happy to answer. So as a part of we being the applicant team, we have submitted applications as of last week to North Carolina Housing Finance Agency for an allocation of 4% low-income housing tax credits and tax-free bonds that will help us construct the project, but be able to provide it at affordable rents. As a part of the process of securing those 4% credits with NCHFA, we commit to something called a LURA. It's effectively a deed restriction, and that LURA has a tail of 30 years on it. And so there is a mechanism by which we are not allowed to increase rents beyond the affordability commitments that are being made both in this project and by extension in our application to NCHFA for a period of 30 years.
Thank you. And that leads me to my next question, which is in 2053, when we've got major affordable housing issues in Durham, what happens to this site?
Yeah, we very much intend to re-syndicate the project. As you are well aware, a 30-year-old building has pretty serious capital requirements associated with it. And the nature of the tax credit program is such that all of the capital that goes into this project, except hopefully the gap funding that we'd be able to secure from Durham here over the next few months, is private capital. And so, we're going to take out a loan. We're contemplating the $45 million affordable housing development right now. And of that, about 50% is a loan that we're taking out. We're going to have to refinance that loan. We're going to have to put capital back into the units. And so, as much as we want to be able to commit to a longer affordability period than 30 years, we don't know whether or not the LIHTC credit will exist. We don't know whether North Carolina Housing Finance Agency's QAP will prioritize this site for re-syndication of rehab credits. We don't know whether the qualified census tract that the site falls into that enables a 4% deal in its current form without gap funding will still be there. And so we very much intend to keep this project affordable, but making a commitment today about a series of circumstances we have no control over 30 years from now is something we're not capable of doing.
Thank you. Other question to the applicant team. You talked to me previously about the potential of committing to a certain number of townhomes being rear loaded, that the purpose of that being that they could be more walkable, that they would have they wouldn't have the snap nose design and would prioritize pedestrians. Is that a commitment you're willing to make?
Yeah, this is Tim Sivers. Yes, absolutely. And we'll work the details out with planning department, but we're willing to commit to providing at least a minimum of 40 units. That'll be rear alley loaded language we will work out with Danny in the next few days. But that is a text commitment we will make tonight.
Okay, great. Other question I have is there any public space on this site? So will there be any dedication of public space, public park, or any public open space?
So yes, Commissioner Baker. So in addition to the Greenway Trail, which we're committing to build that portion of it, which will be a public trail, we're also going to be constructing a small, if you will, pocket park or a parking area. So residents of not only this community, but residents of the Bragtown Association, the Bragtown community, can access the trail through public access. So it's not just for the private citizens of the development. That is exactly what this point is for, to be able to provide recreation areas for the public, for Bragtown itself, for the community.
Okay, thank you. And my last question is about other uses. Are there any other uses besides residential uses on the site? So are there any non-residential uses, daycare services, anything like that?
No, on this site in particular, this is residential. In the next few coming months, there'll be some adjacent properties that will be in front of this board that bring commercial to the area.
But those sites are directly adjacent to the project to the east.
That's correct.
Yeah, our neighbor to the east is a commercial project.
Yeah. All right. Thank you. So yeah, I'm just going to go ahead and let others ask questions. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Baker. Commissioner Durkin, you're recognized.
Thank you. Can we just go back to the 100-year floodplain and the removal of trees for a second? Because I think it's a little unclear exactly what's happening with that text commitment number, what is that, 20? Is that text commitment 20 being edited to provide that no tree removal will happen even if those few uses are built within the floodplain?
Yes, that's fine.
Danny, are you dealing with that behind the scenes so we have language that we know will be included?
We will work with the applicant to ensure that. They did state that they are going to commit to no tree removal within the 100-year floodplain.
Okay, so I just want to make sure that's clear in our vote that that's a proffer. Yes. We're including.
Yeah, that is what they're stating in their proffer.
Okay, thank you. And just a note that. Sorry, was that?
Yeah, it's just important to recognize. It reminds me of the Third Fork Creek Trail. If planning commissioners are familiar with that, it's a sewer easement that has a trail next to it because we're using what's already been cleared.
Yeah, no, I'm not questioning what your plan is, but the language and as drafted doesn't match what you're saying your plan is. So I just want them to.
Yeah, no, it's just a reflection of what's actually on the ground today. Yeah. Thanks. Great.
Yep.
Yeah, no, so Commissioner Dirk, and that was why we raised that issue, is because it didn't match that.
Thank you for doing that. Yeah. There was one, actually, before I move on to the affordable housing piece, there was one other commitment related to environmental. On page 8, there's in the applicant response, there is a note about the 100-foot buffer. And Danny, can you point me to where on the development plan that's memorialized?
If you will look on, excuse me, let me get to it myself so I can get you to that point. If you will look on sheet D100,
okay.
It is in the northeastern section of the development plan. There is an area right on the north where the convergence of those two streams are. It's a 100-foot wide tree preservation area and 40% opacity project boundary buffer. And to the north of that is a conservation area, and they're expanding that buffer to be that area to be 100-foot wide at that point.
Okay. Okay, great. Thank you. So moving on to the affordable housing piece, and I just wanted to take a second and say thank you so much to everyone who, the community members, for taking so much of their own time to making this a much better project than we first saw. And you know, thank you to the developer too for taking the time to meet with the community members. You know, it's worth it for us as a commission and for just Durham as a whole, for everyone to have been involved in this process to the extent that everyone was. And I do also echo the sentiments that it's unfortunate it took that much time. And I don't mean that at all to any of the developers. It's just, we like this project, and we like projects that have this kind of level of involvement and affordability, and it's a shame that it takes so much to get there, but I'm glad it did for this one. So speaking about the affordability, I do have a couple of questions. So it's going to be, or the plan is that it's a low-income housing tax credit deal, 4% credits from North Carolina HFA, and it's an income averaging deal, which is a relatively new creature of the IRS, the tax code, that allows you to have some above 60% units with the average of 60 because you have a lower tier to balance it out, which I think is great because it does let us have a lower income AMI band. But do you know what the split is going to be between 40, 60, and 70? And are you counting the 30% units in that band now, or right now your plan is just 40, 60, 70?
So
that's one question. And
so to be candid,
let me just ask a few questions because it kind of try to get together. And if it is a tax credit deal, how is that being structured with the market rate units? Are you going to have one building that is all of the LIHTC units that will be owned by a separate owner, or are they going to be integrated in a larger building and you're going to condo it out somehow, what is your plan for that so that everyone knows, are these units separate or integrated with the market rate units? And I do have a question about the gap financing application. So go ahead and take those LIHTC questions and then I can ask that one. Okay, so we'll work backwards and I'll come to income averaging second. So this will be the affordable housing development will be a standalone site owned by separate ownership than the market rate portion of the project. North Carolina Housing Finance Agency, in the context of how they structure their QAP, does not have a mechanism to spread 198 affordable units over a large property like the one we're contemplating here, nor does it structure well to have common ownership of a 550 unit apartment complex where a large portion is affordable and a large portion is market rate. As it relates to the income averaging, our income averaging right now assumes the expectation that we'll be able to secure gap funding from Durham. So the numbers that I'm looking at right now include 30% units. If we're unable to secure gap funding from Durham, 5% of the project will be at 40% AMI. 2.5% of the project will be at 70% AMI, and the remainder will be at 60% AMI. Okay, that's helpful. The project will actually end up averaging to something in the neighborhood of 58% in all likelihood. Well, yeah, and that's to your, you have to, if you're above 60, then you're gonna have a recapture issue and you don't want that. So yeah, you would always average, you're counting on 57 to 58-ish. So that's good. Is there anyone on staff that can speak to the gap financing application and that process and where the applicant is in that process? I could speak to it as the applicant, unless you'd prefer staff speak to it. I'm just curious to hear from, I don't know, Alexander just popped on, but I don't know if there's anybody from community development that was on.
There is not anyone from community development. That's a great question. And that's only because when there's an active application with the city for gap financing, they have a policy where they don't speak about a project or make comments on it. So they're not here tonight because of that. We are unfamiliar, with the nuances of that, other than what you've already kind of heard tonight. Ted can probably speak mostly to what you want to know about it. But they do have an application in, and development is reviewing it currently. Okay, great. So then I'll move that question back to the applicant. Thank you, Alexander. Can the applicant speak to the status of the application and I guess and knowing that this is just a sort of a, hopefully an educated guess, but a guess nonetheless on your part, where you are in that process and what the likelihood of you receiving that funding is? Sure. So we are submitting gap funding applications that are due by the Tuesday of next week deadline. I believe that's the 2nd. We absolutely hope to receive approval. We have no idea of what the competitive landscape will be. And we certainly have not seen the rankings of all the projects. Staff's come up with criteria to rank applications. I guess what I would say is that as someone that believes in the need for 30% AMI units in the community, in particular senior units as well at 30% AMI, we feel pretty strongly that council will recognize that Bradtown needs this investment and that the $95 million in the affordable housing bond was sourced in a large way to help support communities like Bradtown that are, experiencing economic dislocation and gentrification, and the solution is to be able to provide housing at levels that are affordable. And so we look forward to continued conversations with stakeholders at the city, certainly city council members, in concert with the BZA, because frankly, we could not believe more strongly in the need for Durham to invest in 30% AMI units in this community. Thank you. With the gap financing, do you know if that comes with an additional deed restriction or regulatory agreement on top of the low-income housing tax credit regulatory agreement with HFA?
Yes, it does, Commissioner Dorkin. That reminds me of the Sherrington Road Development Agreement that the commission saw, I believe it was in August of 2020. And yes, I worked with Karen Lotto and others in community development for restrictive covenants that are recorded and run with the property, in addition to a contract as to how the management of the property has to be maintained in order to maintain the affordability criteria for the 30-year horizon.
Okay, thank you. I think that was all of it. I wish that the units were integrated into the larger project. I think there is a way to do it. I understand that there are limitations, and hopefully the NCHFA QAP will be updated to reflect the capacity that exists in order to do more interesting ownership structures. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Durkin. Commissioner Busby, you are recognized.
Thanks, Chair Amendolia. I want to echo what my fellow commissioners have said. I think in particular, really appreciate the work that's been put in, particularly by the community, but also by the proponents to take a second look at this. You will note that in August of 2020, this Planning Commission unanimously voted against the initial proposal. And you're going to see a very different result here this evening, I believe. And it's due to the really hard work and listening to each other. I would certainly like to see a few additional things, and they've been mentioned. The 150-foot buffer. I understand 100 feet buffers it's above and beyond what's required. I understand the community's interest in looking to do more. And Commissioner Durkin, I think, made a point that stuck with me as well, is I would love to see these affordable housing units interspersed. But again, I believe that this is a very strong proposal. As I said in August of 2020, when I voted against the initial proposal, I stand with the Bragtown community. And having heard the public comments this evening, particularly from the leadership of the Bragtown community, I plan to vote for this again tonight and stand with the Bragtown community. I hope we will see more proposals like this and more processes like this moving forward in Durham. It is taking us forward as a community. So, and I hope those additional proposals that may come in the future may be able to address some of the issues that have been raised this evening by community members who would like to see a little bit more in the future. But again, I think this is a very strong step forward, and I do plan to vote for it. So thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Busby. Are there other commissioners who would like to speak at this time, ask questions? Commissioner Baker, I see your hand. I'm going to give others the chance. Yes, Commissioner Harrod, you are recognized.
I'm recognized. Okay. Again, I'd like to commend the community engagement and the resultant project. I do have a couple questions about the amenities. The text notes, number 12, for example, is there intended to be a pool and a clubhouse, or is that still in consideration?
Yeah, Commissioner, I'll handle that. This is Ted Halbrown with the development team. We will be building a pool and a clubhouse associated with the affordable development included in the project that you see in front of you tonight. We believe it will be one of, if not the first, affordable housing development in Durham that's utilized the LIHTC credit and has built that pool and clubhouse. We think it's critically important in our conversations with the BCA, and particularly Stella Adams, who's a member of the kind of executive team over there. We approached the conversation about pool clubhouse from a quality of life perspective, right? There are pools and clubhouses in tons of market rate communities across the state. There's no reason why folks in an affordable housing community in Bragtown shouldn't have the same. But what we learned, it makes it doubly, if not even more so important, is that access to pools for minority children is critical. because drowning rates are higher for minorities than they are in other demographics and populations across the U.S. And the best way to combat that is to make sure kids have access to a pool to learn how to swim. And so through the BCA, we've been introduced to some folks at Duke who are working right now to try to set up a way for us to provide a shuttle service back and forth from the university for kids in the swim team or folks who want to provide swimming lessons, on weekends during the summer within a pool that will be available to the residents and guests of specifically the affordable development. There may be a pool as a part of the market rate portions of the project, but our focus for the last year has been prioritizing the planning for the affordable component of this project. And so, yes, there will be a pool clubhouse. It will be specific to the residents and the guests of the affordable development.
Okay, that's fantastic. I tell you, I wanted to address the few concerns that were mentioned about kids having things to do. In the list of things here, the pool is one of them. Playfields would be another one. The other items that are listed are mainly for adults or young, I don't know, dog parks and, things like that, families with children. So I would hope that you would also consider playfields for the general neighborhood development.
We'll definitely consider.
Yeah, okay. That's all I ask. I do have a question about the 100-foot wide greenway. Is that throughout the project? Because number 13, it doesn't, I don't exactly understand.
So Bruce, this is Tim Sivers with the team here. So there's an existing greenway existing greenway easement that partially exists. What we're committing to is essentially finishing that greenway easement throughout and providing a portion of that easement actually is constructed for the trail. So it's a mix of both because of the skipping over certain areas of the site now that don't have that easement. So that's why you see the language that has been structured with the Parks and Rec Department.
Okay, understand. Thank you. That's all I have, Chair.
Thank you, Commissioner Harrod. Before returning to commissioners who have already had a chance to speak, are there other commissioners who would like to ask questions and or make statements? Commissioner Batista.
Hi, thanks. Yeah, just regarding the floodplain, I have to commend you for going to 100 from 20, but I also want to introduce the concept of the land slope. It might be a way to sort of overshoot the 100 mark in some areas. So maybe it's a commitment on average of a certain, maybe 100-foot mark, but not everywhere that. So that will give you a little flexibility, but it would also give the residents a little flexibility too.
Commissioner, I appreciate that. At this time, I think we're going to stick to our commitment as it relates to the 100-year floodplain. I'd be happy to connect to the offline a little bit more about what you're discussing because I'm not quite familiar with it. We think we've made a pretty meaningful commitment here as it relates to how we deal with the floodplain, but there's obviously a lot of time between now and council. And if there's an idea that helps and doesn't hurt the project and helps accomplish what the committee here and the neighborhood is looking for, we're always open to discussion about improving this.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Batista. Commissioner Zuri Williams, you are recognized.
Hi, good evening. I just wanted to say that I think this is a great project. I really appreciate the developer and Ragtown Community Association's level of engagement, and I hope that that is mirrored throughout the city more often. I definitely hear and agree with some of the concerns that were presented this evening, but also recognize that I'm willing to be okay with some of those concerns, given where we are at with affordable housing and our need, and the project's ability to address affordable housing as well as infrastructure. I also think that in relation to the conversations had earlier this evening about having something to do for the kids, research has shown that mixed income communities are beneficial to everyone that lives there. And I think that some of these amenities will give the children something to do in that summers. So I just wanted to say thank you, and looking forward to seeing this happen.
Thank you, Commissioner Zuri-Williams. Any others before I return to Commissioners Baker and Durkin? Okay, Commissioner Baker, you are recognized.
Thank you, Chair. Before I speak, I noticed that there are a couple of attendees that had their hands up. Do we want to wait until we speak, or do we want to address them now?
Frankly, it's up to you. If you would like to call on the attendees, you may do so as well.
All right. Now we have three. Yeah, so if Vanessa, Celeste, and Lalit want to say something, then I'm going to go ahead and offer them the chance to do that. Vanessa, do you want to go first, and then we'll do Celeste and then Lalit?
I prefer to let them go first.
Celeste.
Thanks so much. I appreciate you making time. I just want to share, I guess, as a Bragtown resident and someone that has been involved with learning about and talking about this development since it came around the first time. I am really pleased to see the affordable housing, and I hope that we all can see this as like a new normal, kind of a new baseline for where we start. You know, I'll bring the data component back in just around what affordable means, right? And we have that definition around 60% AMI, but also recognition that what we need in Bragtown is 30% AMI. And I know a lot of folks have mentioned that, but that would sort of coordinate to around actually 80% AMI. So even at the 30% level, right, that's 80% of the average income in Bragtown. So we're not even getting to what would be 60% for Bragtown residents. And within this very large development, while there are, you know, close to 200 units that will be affordable kind of at that official definition, just a small sliver will be affordable for folks that currently live in Bragtown. So I just want to like keep that in mind, and as we start to like open ourselves to what a new normal could look like, to know that we have to do better, right? That this is like the best project we might have seen in a long, long time, and it's still not providing housing that's affordable for Bragtown residents. So I just look forward to kind of how high we can jump when we have this as our baseline. And then I also appreciate the expanded environmental protections, but just would love to see the developer go even further, the 150-foot buffers. And yeah, thinking about some of the other projects that are being proposed in Bragtown that are 100% affordable, that are also looking to do income averaging to get units at lower AMIs. And so I'd like to just like keep our eye on that kind of prize, right? Like, what does it look like to have projects that are 100% affordable in Bragtown? So thanks.
Celeste, Lalit.
Yeah, so I have, right in the middle of this whole project sits Cub Creek Road, right? And today it is not DOT compliant. It is closed on one side, right, from East Carver Street. But what really happens is pretty much everybody drives their cars over the bumps and just goes on to East Carver Street. As part of this project, right, I would like to understand what the development team here do they plan on improving Cub Creek to DOT standards and connecting Cub Creek, which is today closed from one side to East Carver extension, if that will, is that part of the plan?
Hey, this is Tim Cyrus here with the development team, Lee. Yes, to answer your question, there are some improvements that are listed on our development plan. So for the planning commission members that may have that in front of them, you can see the list of improvements, which do include improvements to Cub Creek.
So Tim, will Cub Creek be open to East Carver as part of this?
No, that connection will remain closed as requested by DOT.
But would that not create more, connections to East Carver Street down the road, rather than just having one four-way crossing, which today exists, right? Just has been closed on one side. Would that not be a better development model, right? Where everything just connects into Cub Creek, and then Cub Creek connects four-way crossing into the East Carver Street.
So our traffic study looked at that, and our traffic engineer is actually not here this evening, but we did have a lot of discussions with DOT on that, and the request with DOT was to keep remain it as is.
Thank you, Lily, and thank you, Tim, for answering those questions. And then Vanessa, did you want a chance to speak before Commissioner Baker has his turn?
Yes, I just want to say again, thank y'all for taking the time to listen to what the Bradtown Community Association and the community who engaged with the developers have actually had to say, and feeling that this would be a great space for people to live who need affordable housing. And when we look at affordable housing, these are not housings that will depreciate people's homes who have implanted in Durham or moved to Durham. This is not going to be an area where it's going to raise the crime rate. This has to be a space where people can live comfortable. I know there are environmental issues that people are speaking about tonight, but in working with the developers from the first development, they only wanted to give us 5 units. They only wanted to do 20 foot buffers. With this new development, they've gone above and beyond from 50 to 100 foot buffer. I'm not saying it shouldn't be more, but we have to also think about the spacing in which we have to put these apartments and these units. I think it's crucial. This is very crucial that people have houses to stay in, because Durham is evicting people left and right every day. And every human being deserves to have a place to stay. Not in a box, not with newspaper covering them, not in a shelter, but a home like we have. Each and every person on this call tonight has a place that you can call home. You have heat, you have air conditioning, you have food, and I feel everyone deserves that. I'm just hoping that out of all the hard work we've done with this developer, which I feel he has gone above and beyond in our askings. And I'm not saying we couldn't get more, but I'm praying that this will be a blueprint to make things better as other communities try to get their communities to have affordable housing for all people. Thank you.
Thank you. It is a little bit unusual to give that amount of time to community members, but this is a really important project, and I felt that was necessary. So I just wanted to make some final comments here and mention that, I guess as a reminder, we're operating within an entirely broken system. Public housing is a completely underfunded infrastructure in this country and in our state. And so that leaves us with like really inadequate tools at our disposal. And it leaves us oftentimes asking politely for private developers to come forward and build affordable housing using tax credits and a variety of complex tools. And that's unfortunately where we are. And so I think all of us, many of us would agree that we're not operating within an ideal framework and an ideal system. We as a result, don't get ideal outcomes, but we can do the very best that we can. And at the local level, we're operating with a pretty broken and a pretty arcane zoning ordinance that has been around for a very long time, and one that we need to update. And the result of that is that we don't have development standards in place that could just be there, that we could just require sort of automatically and sort of approve rezonings, knowing that certain minimum standards will be in place. And so that does place a lot of burden on the Planning Commission to negotiate with developers, on developers to negotiate with the community and us, and on, especially as has been mentioned, on communities to work so hard to try and get some minimum standards which we could require. So those are two, I think, important pieces of context to be thinking about. The last time this came to us in 2020, we did end up voting unanimously against the proposal that was before us. But at that time, we were seeing a tiny commitment to affordable housing, significantly smaller. I think it's like 5 units or something, but it was the largest commitment of affordable housing we'd ever seen from a developer. And a lot of people sort of said to us, don't let the perfect be the enemy of the good. And thankfully, we rejected that. The neighborhood asked us to reject that, and we did. And so I think this shows that we can have high standards. We should have high standards for developers. We have in the past, and we should continue to do that moving forward. And we should be consistent in the standards that we have, and message that consistently to developers. We can also learn from the developer matters, and going out and being proactive in some way, whether it's the city doing that matters, and we can get better development with better developers, and so that is an important piece. So again, sort of working within this broken context, getting the right developer really matters, and that's why we're seeing the proposal that we're seeing before us. I mean, this is unprecedented. In the more than 3 years that I've been here, I've never seen anything like this, where development goes away and it comes back with almost 200 units of commitment for affordable housing, 70% AMI and below, and with a portion of that being 40% AMI and potentially 30% with the additional finance. I mean, we've never seen something like this before. And so we have to applaud that. We have to say thank you to the developer and thank you to the community and everything, recognizing that there's been significant burden on the community in getting us to where we are, and the developer being willing to work with them. Lastly, I do just want to say that I think we're facing two major crises in Durham. One is that of affordable housing, which is at least somewhat being addressed in this application. And the other is walkability, the lack of walkability, and the auto-oriented nature of all of the development that we're seeing. Only a tiny portion of our residents can get anywhere without owning a vehicle. They're burdened with the cost of transportation, many other things. I don't think that this proposal addresses that. The development team did mention that there will be adjacent commercial and non-residential uses. I think we need to start viewing the construction of entire neighborhoods, this one being 134 acres, which is a massive development. 40 acres is a large development, so 134 is very large. We need to start viewing and building entire neighborhoods that lack services and commercial uses and jobs and childcare and barbershops, other things. We need to start viewing that as a crisis. We're building neighborhoods where people can't really efficiently get around and get to places, and it's dangerous. We have a very high death rate when it comes to people walking in the street and being hit by cars. It's unfortunate that this proposal did not address that. only mentioned that there's going to be commercial in the future and adjacent. And of course, it'll be surrounded by parking and built for cars. So, I think that this is a fantastic development. It's not perfect. I'm going to be voting for it. I think it meets and elevates the standards that we should hold the development community to. And at the same time, there are very obviously, it's very obviously not a perfect proposal, but in this case, I think it is good enough. So that's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Baker. Commissioner Durkin.
Thank you. I just have one quick thing that came up in the discussion after I spoke first. For commitment number 12 about the amenities that were described, can there be language added that if constructed, these amenities will be available to the occupants of the income restricted units?
Sorry, what amenities specifically are we referring to?
The ones listed in 12, just if they're constructed, because of course they might get engineered out of the plan, but.
Go ahead, Tim Sivers.
Commissioner Durkin, are you essentially asking us to revise that language to ensure that those items will be built in those income restricted areas?
No, not at all. All I'm asking is if they are constructed, that they be available to the tenants of the income restricted units. So it's not that they're only available to the market rate tenants.
Yes.
The only clarification would be, and again, this is the developer speaking on behalf of the affordable development that we are pushing forward. We will be building a pool as a part of that facility. There may be a pool complex associated with the market rate apartments that will be specific to the residents of that apartment dwelling, just like the pool associated with the affordable apartments will be specific to the residents of that dwelling. So the amenities specific to the different portions of the project. And again, we've intentionally mixed a number of different AMI levels and dwelling unit types together here into one broader project. But the access to the amenities within the project will be specific to the portion of the project that they're in.
Okay, I don't know what to do with that one.
We'd be happy to commit to a text amendment that would say that the affordable development will include a pool and clubhouse.
Income restricted. Don't say affordable.
Sorry, income restricted. Yeah, there's so much different. Like income restricted. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. If you're willing to do that, I wasn't even going to push for that. But if you're willing to do that, then that would I would be okay with that.
Yeah, I mean, we're not negotiating against ourselves. We think it's a critical part of the development. We think that folks in that community need access to a pool, and like we're doing it one way or another. So we're happy to make that commitment.
Danny, are you comfortable with that?
I am. In fact, that was going to be a question I had because Commissioner Harrod had a question about, the pool clubhouse component anyway. And commitment number 12 gives options for all of these things. There it could be any three of these components. And the applicant had stated that they were going to provide the club pool house. And that was going to be one of my questions is, was the pool clubhouse going to be committed? So this goes actually further to that.
Okay.
So yeah, we can work out that language to have a separate commitment to provide that for the income restricted component.
Okay, so we'll just note that in our resolution as well.
Right, and I'm gonna, before the vote, I'll raise maybe just to confirm all of the different new proffers on this. So.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner.
Thanks, Commissioner Durkin. Would anyone else like a chance to speak or ask more questions before I take my turn? Okay, seeing none, I'm first going to provide a couple of minutes for Onofrio Castiglia to speak.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes.
Thank you for holding this meeting. I wasn't planning on speaking. I should say that I'm not a resident of the area. I reside in Winchester, Virginia. I've been visiting Cub Creek Road literally my entire life. My great-grandparents built a house at 3635 Cub Creek Road. And I just am surprised that there's no plan to connect to East Carver. My family is not necessarily opposed to the area staying the way it is. We like the trees. We have environmental concerns. There are hawks nesting across the road by the chapel. There are endangered woodpeckers in our yard. But to the extent that this is going to happen, and it seems like it is, I just think it's a little bit shameful that the history of isolating the Oxford housing project is going to continue. It really seems to me that over the years, as this area has developed, every effort has been made on the part of the government at every level to isolate that housing project. And I understand why. Just 2 weeks ago, my aunt had her car stolen. It was recovered. There's been crime in this area for a long time. It's not a secret, and there's no use being shy about it. But so long as that housing project is contained the way it is, and the people that live there are not allowed to integrate with the communities that are developing around them, crime isn't going to get better. And a lot of what's been said during this meeting about mixed use and different economic spheres mingling with one another and all the benefits that come with that, I agree. But it doesn't seem to me that this project really goes the full distance into fixing the problems that we've had historically in this area. And I just felt like I had to speak up and say something about that, because I don't agree with continuing to isolate this segment of the neighborhood the way that has been done over the decades. So thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for adding that perspective. So before I make my comments, I did have one quick clarification with the applicant. Ted, Tim, and Patrick, we emailed earlier about committing to extending the riparian buffer on the northwest portion of the site. And I'm curious if that text commitment had been sent to staff, if y'all are officially committing to that. I just wanted to clarify that, make sure that didn't slip through the cracks.
Thank you, Commissioner Amendolia. We've not drafted anything for planning, but we are willing to commit to that 150-foot stream buffer, which is along the stream, which follows the floodplain along the northwest property border, as we discussed in our email. So, but yes, Danny, if you will please add that to the list of text commitments, and this probably be more of a graphical commitment, if you will, that we will revise and include in the updated plan.
Could you clarify that again, please, Tim? Where that is located? You're saying that you're going to expand the riparian buffer to 150 feet in what area?
That is correct. So it's the stream that runs along the northwest property line. It's the stream that follows the floodplain. So that specific stream that follows the floodplain, we will increase the riparian buffer to 150 feet.
Okay, on the eastern side of the stream, correct?
Well,
you can't. Yeah, I mean,
yes,
on your property side.
Correct, within our project limits, because we can't make commitments.
Right, understood.
Yeah. Yes.
Okay. All right. Got it.
Great, thank you. So I just wanted to reflect briefly on this development, like most folks have tonight. And I wanted to just give some of the raw number comparisons to what we saw in August 2020 versus now. So before, this case was 675 units. And now we have 821. So we've increased the total number of units addressing the supply concerns that I know a lot of folks have. And we have moved from, depending on when you look in the record, between 5 and 20 affordable units to now almost 200 affordable units. The units that were offered before were only at the UDO standard, which I believe is 80% AMI, whereas based on the text commitments tonight, all of these will be below 70% AMI and averaging to 60%. And the case we saw in August 2020 only had 8 text commitments prior to the Planning Commission meeting compared to 20 in this meeting tonight. We have increased tree save, increased stream buffers, off-site sidewalk connectivity. There's a lot that has improved on this. One thing that has also notably improved is last time we received hundreds of emails opposing this development. And this time I've seen majority emails in favor, and people don't email us to tell us they like stuff. Typically they only email us when they don't like things. We might get 1 or 2 here and there that are in favor of things. It is rare to get more than a dozen emails in favor of a proposal. This is incredible progress, and I really do want to commend and lift up this application as an example of what we need to see moving forward. I want to commend the community activism of the Bragtown Community Association. I don't think we would be where we are without them. It shouldn't be that way, but I think we need to just continue to lift up what they have done. They showed up the first time this case came to Planning Commission in June 2020. They showed up again August 2020. They showed up to City Council. They've been involved with the developer. I mean, the number of hours that have been spent on this case are unimaginable. They surely take up what is a part-time job, and most of them, all of them did it on a volunteer basis. I also do want to thank the applicant team for their collaboration with Bragtown. I really hope this becomes a model for community engagement moving forward. And I want to appreciate and thank Kelly Development for their involvement in making this as affordable as it is. Now, I would like to imagine where we would be right now if this was the application we saw 17 months ago in August of 2020, because we would be close to having a complete development with people ready to move in the near future. And I would prefer that 17 months ago, we had an application that met this vision for Bragtown, and that was in line for the vision that this commission has for Durham. And I bring this up because I know there are narratives out there that processes like this and that planning commissions are harming our housing supply because we say no to things all the time. And I believe this applicant has shown us that it's a two-way street, because I'd like to imagine that if this were the application we saw 17 months ago, it would have been a different outcome than a unanimous denial. I like what has been said tonight about a new normal and a blueprint for the future. I really hope and expect this development will serve that role. Only that I would like to see this be the process from the start, not after a denial from the commission, from the elected officials. And just concluding, I want to thank everyone involved. I want to thank Bragtown, the applicants. I want to thank this commission for standing with Bragtown from the beginning of this process. And I want to thank staff for their role in managing this process. Before moving to a motion, I would like to give Danny a chance to go through all of the additional proffers that have been made tonight so that everyone is clear on what we are voting on tonight.
Thank you, Chair Amendolia. Yes, we as staff, I think we've got it clarified that there are 4 modified and new proffers. I'm seeing that one would be that a minimum of 40 of the units would be rear alley loaded, and that for commitment number 20, that would actually be modified so that there would be no tree removal within the 100-year floodplain, and that there will be a new commitment to state that income restricted component will include a pool and clubhouse, and that also a new commitment to have to increase the northwestern section of the riparian buffers to increase that to 150 feet wide. And if there's anybody else in my group that sees anything else, but I think that is it. Or if anyone else has any other recollections.
Danny, this is Tim Sivers with the development team here. Yes, that's all accurate. So thank you for that summary.
Yeah, thank you, Danny. We appreciate it.
Certainly.
Thank you, Danny. At this time, I would accept a motion.
Yes, Chair, I'd like to go ahead and make the motion for case number Z1900009 Carver Street Assemblage to be forwarded to the City Council for a favorable recommendation.
Second.
Everybody wants to get on this one. I heard Commissioner Carmen Williams first. So we're going to say moved by Commissioner Morgan, seconded by Commissioner Carmen Williams. Is there any discussion on the motion before we vote? I would just like to note that you've done well when you have commissioners elbowing each other for seconding a motion. May we have the roll call vote?
Yes, thank you. Chair Amendolia.
Yes.
Baker.
Yes.
Batista.
Yes.
Busby.
Yes.
Vice Chair Cameron.
Yes.
Cutright.
Yes.
Durkin.
Yes.
Harrod.
Yes.
Lowe.
Yes.
McIver.
Yes.
Morgan.
Yes.
Carmen Williams.
Yes.
And Zuri Williams.
Yes.
Passes unanimously.
Thank you. Thank you all. Thank you, Bragtown. Thanks to the applicants and to staff. We have a couple more orders of business before we conclude tonight. First off, we have to make a schedule change. So our November Planning Commission meeting was mistakenly placed on top of Election Day. And I want you all to vote. And I'm sure many of you are playing a role in facilitating others voting. And I want other people to go vote and not come to a Planning Commission meeting. Plus, I don't even know if we do business on Election Day. So I assume this will be an easy vote, but we need to formally have a vote to move that meeting, and then staff will send around a doodle poll of some sort to help us reschedule that. So I do need a motion for this.
So moved, Chair. This is Dave.
Second.
Okay, I'm going to go with low on that. See, there's my point. Nobody even wanted to second this. It's easy. Moved by Commissioner Morgan, seconded by Commissioner Lowe. May we have the roll call vote?
Amendolia.
Yes.
Baker.
Yes.
Batista.
Yes.
Busby.
Yes.
Cameron.
Yes.
Cutright.
Yes.
Durkin.
Yes.
Harrod.
Yes.
Lowe.
Yes.
McIver.
Yes.
Morgan.
Yes.
Carmen Williams.
Absolutely.
And Zuri Williams. Okay, excellent. Thank you. Passes unanimously, and we will send out a doodle poll.
Thank you. Last order of business is Commissioner Tony Cease. We need to do an excused absence for him.
So moved.
Seconded.
Okay. Moved by Commissioner Baker, seconded by Commissioner Morgan. May we have the roll call vote?
Amendolia,
Yes.
Baker,
Yes.
Batista,
Yes.
Busby,
Yes.
Cameron,
Yes.
Cutright,
Yes.
Durkin,
Yes.
Harrod,
Yes.
Lowe,
Yay.
MacGyver,
Yes.
Morgan,
Yes.
Carmen Williams,
Yes.
and Zuri Williams.
Yes.
Passes unanimously. Thank you.
Thank you all. Just a quick reminder that the comment period for the place type map and the place type map guide closes on January 31st. Staff, please correct me if that's incorrect, but if you have not yet submitted public comment on that, both to participants and commissioners, the reminder that that's the deadline for that. Also, the next planning commission meeting is kind of soon. And I see we do have 4 agenda items on that case. So just wanted to go ahead and make sure that's on everyone's radar. Michael, do we have any other updates or things you need to let us know?
No, except we're not sure if we mentioned this or not, and I'm not sure if he's going to be able to attend next month, but Danny is retiring at the end of February. So we wanted to let you all know that, and we will miss his experience and his knowledge and the hard work that he puts into bringing these cases forward to you.
Yep. Danny, thank you for your service to the city and for helping us on Planning Commission. You always do a really great job of keeping track of all the moving parts because it gets confusing out here and there's a lot to manage, and I'm really thankful for what you do. Commissioner Lowe, sorry, Danny, you go ahead and let me give you a chance to say any
that's
remarks.
fine. Well, I'm going to miss this place, but it's time. So
I'm envious. I have a long way to go to get to retirement, but man, live the life. Commissioner Lowe, I wanted to recognize you real quick.
Thank you. I wasn't here for the roll call, so I may have been marked absent. So I just want to, if I wasn't, to make that change. I'm here. Thank you.
Got you covered.
Awesome. Thank you.
Thank you, Michael. Thank you.
Does anybody have any parting words for Danny? I think we may have another chance to recognize his efforts later on. Okay, seeing none, I'm going to adjourn this meeting. Thank you all so much. Appreciate all you do. Have a great night.
Thank you.